Friday, May 12th. This is an end of the day and end of the week SPY recap. And today we end up with another 3 bar. Took out the high the previous day, low the previous day, had a bit of a red bias to it, closed right in the middle of the range. We've been talking about how all week long we're essentially just inside of this one. We had this green reversal bar at the end of last week, and then we've essentially been inside of that bar the entire week, going up, down, up, down, up, down. You can see here the weekly chart has ended. We now have a 1 bar, so it's a 3 bar from 2 weeks ago, a 1. So now you have an actionable signal. If we break above that, we're looking to hit kind of some bigger picture targets. You can see this and these back here. If we would head lower, you have these double lows down here. So, we'll see what happens. I mean, this is kind of a crazy looking week in terms of just all kinds of choppiness. We did have that similar kind of a week a few weeks ago back in here, I recall. That was after making new highs. We kind of chopped around, try to break lower, and then that started on the bigger picture. We're kind of making big lower lows, higher highs, lower lows. Now on a much narrower picture, we're kind of making lower lows, higher highs, lower lows, higher highs. If you spread the 15-minute chart out, you can just see all that action in here. Anyway, so we talked about all week how it looked like we were heading towards an inside week, and now the next week will be kind of interesting. And when you have whatever, assuming you don't have another inside tight week, I'll assume there'll be some breakout up or down. The interesting thing is going to be whether you really get strong follow through. You should hit whatever target you have on the up and down side. Then the question is, do you fail from there and come all the way back down? Or if you go lower, do you kind of hit those targets and continue, or do you fail and come back up? So anytime I have a 1 bar, I kind of want to, it's going to break out. And the question is, to me, I'm looking for failures also as much as I am for breakouts and continuation. So we'll see what happens next week. In terms of today, though, there's enough volatility in this market to do pretty well. I mean, you can see here right out of the gates with the pre-market range between the blue lines, price started down immediately. You could have actually bought puts here right out of the gates if you wanted to, do that. To me, we were above the midpoint of the prior day, so I wouldn't do, if I bought the puts, it would have been with an expectation maybe you'd hit the yesterday's close as a target and then see what happens. But anyway, it continued down, and once I saw it hit the intraday lows, the pre-market lows, and didn't really rebound from there. I was watching very closely. I bought some SPY puts here, and I discussed how after, you'd have a continuation to below bar number 3 here. That would be below the midpoint of the prior day, which would then have a target to this pink line to the low of the prior day. So once you kind of came down and took out the midpoint of the prior day in here, that's kind of a good signal to take out the lows. And then, again, based on everything we've been watching, once it takes those out, not surprising, you get a little bounce out of that in this crazy up, down, and choppy environment. So we'll see what happens next week. I'm looking forward to the breakout. I'm looking forward to see if it holds or if it fails, either up or down. Let price action lead the way. But today there was very good trading on the SPY itself to the downside all morning long, kind of a 1-2 move type of thing. And then that was all you got all day. And then it kind of just held, it hit its target, held, and then kind of bounced a little bit. So, it looks like every time it's heading down, we're getting buying in here for 3 days in a row now. So maybe we'll start up next week knowing that that's happening, but you never can predict it. So we'll see what happens. And again, monthly chart is an outside month too, so we don't even know how what really actionable signal is developing on this time frame yet until really this month ends, and we just see whether we go up or down or stay inside next month. So it's definitely getting tight in here, but I think that means there should be some kind of a breakout. And as it turns out, even without the breakouts, there's enough volatility in this range. If you kind of look at the opening price action, the pre-market range, and kind of know where some of the key levels are, there's some good volatility for at least day trade. So that's working out. But we'll see if there's anything sustainable that unfolds next week. Again, in the middle of this bigger range right in here, and we're right in the middle of it. So, that's why you can have a failure up or down. But we should test one of those, highs or lows. I still believe after testing these lows down here, we're working towards those highs, and that's what the market seems to be saying. So we'll see if we get the break, to the upside We were expecting that maybe out of this inside bar today, but then again, that's why you look at the pre-market range and the first bar, and you show price said no, it wasn't going up today to the top of the range. But since we close near the middle, maybe that happens next week. So let's see how next week unfolds.